Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I'm excited about today's project. We have something really fun, quick, and simple, and these are my love languages for when it comes to making jewelry, and particularly seed beads too, which is actually kind of where I started from. Sewing up really tiny beads with very slim thread and a needle, and creating stuff with it. Now, that's not what we're doing today, but that's where my foundation was. So anytime I can come back to seed beads, it's always a fun time. And I had come up with a design that I thought would be really fun. And then I passed it over to my friend Danielle Wicks, who's SilverSilk's content creator. And I gave her this challenge. I was like, hey, I love this idea. I love this styling. Can you please reinterpret this design to make it user friendly, maker friendly? And use wire instead of thread to kind of take down the complication of having to work with needle and thread because we all know sometimes it's not our thing and it takes a little bit of coaxing to get into bead weaving, but this is not that, I promise. This is completely seed beads and wire, and it is very clever. Let me show you guys what I'm talking about here. And I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my camera to my table, and we'll just get right into it. These are our seed bead slider bracelets. And the mechanism is made with those seed beads that you can sort of slide that silver silk in and out to get your bracelet size to your wrist. We're going to be using those terminators too to cap off the ends professionally. And everything is just going to work so well together. And you'll have these quick, easy bracelets that either you can wear or give away as gifts on the fly. All right, let us talk about our tools and supplies. You could see that that list is quite short, which I love. But the tools, I actually have a video over on the YouTube channel that you guys can check out where I talk about my recommended tools and go in depth for each one of those. I've also included that link in the video description below in case you were wondering. Um, and let's talk about our supplies. First, we've got that leather knitted chain, or knitted leather chain, excuse me. And that's this stuff right here. 6 needles stitch a singular piece of wire into a tube that then a 2.5 millimeter leather cord is drawn down into. And you could see that it's leather and that it's got this beautiful metallic sheen finish. The leather cord itself is matte, and whenever you add that metal texture on top, it is amazing and really gets this one wonderful, intricate stitching on it. And so you really don't need much to make this sing as a jewelry piece. And so you'll need about 9 inches of that, and it really just depends on your wrist size too. I feel like 9 inches is great for a 7 inch bracelet. And so you can kind of use that as your median gauge for sizing up or sizing down as you wish. And so I'm just going to leave that out to the side. Oh, and I didn't get to talk to you about the spools that we have available. We've got this in over, I think, 6 colors, maybe 7 possibly. But we're making more, believe it or not, in and fleshing out this line to be as incredible and big as the other Silver Silk lines. You can check out all these at silversilkonline.com. And within there, you'll find the Silver Silk Chains tab and all of those different colors. And they're sold as a 3 foot, a 6 foot, and a 25-foot spool in case you're really wanting to explore and, create with these. You'll also need some 9 millimeter terminators that look like these. Terminators are very special and very unique to Silver Silk. Whoops. They have little teeth on the inside, which is similar to some of our other end caps that we have on our custom findings list. Except for this time, there's no little loop at the top. It's just capped off. And you basically just squeeze this over the end of your silver silk, and it creates this really nice finished end. And you'll need a couple of those. I will also say that my findings come in 6 different colors. So in this particular instance, I'm using the antique copper color, and it is absolutely stunning. It goes with that nice rustic feel that I'm going with for the design today. And but you can keep it as polished or as rustic as you'd like. That is totally up to you. We will also need some craft wire. So I'm using some soft flex craft wire in bronze, and it is 28 gauge, which is a little bit smaller than my typical size. The 28 gauge makes it easy to go through the seed beads, which I'm about to talk about multiple times because of how small it is. And you can go crazy with all the different colors. Softflex offers, I think, up to 15 different colors, give or take, depending on which line it is. And you can have it very matchy matchy, or you can have it contrast, depending on what look you're going for. So grab some of that and have that on hand. If you're wanting to make other CB projects, using this thinner wire is the way to go. Okay, and seed beads. So you'll need about 4 grams of each color if you're wanting to really make multiple ones, multiple sliders. Here I've just got these amazing bright blues, this sort of dark amber color. We've got some cream and this sort of mustard color. Super pretty. So think about your pattern because you can explore all different styles, different patterns. You can create your own just with using a grid paper and use even more seed beads and colors as you wish. It's really endless possibilities. I wanted to just stick with the 4 colors to make it less confusing on the math side of things, to be honest. But actually, Danielle Wicks came up with this palette, and I was stunned of how beautiful it is. Now, if you're wanting some extra ideas, I do have a page over on the silversilkonline.com website. You'll want to check out the video tutorials tab at the very top menu. In that, you can find the written directions for this project, and you can find those patterns that are illustrated so that you guys don't have to do any math. You can just look at the pattern and copy it exactly verbatim, bead to bead, and create the same style that we're going to do today. All right, so I'm going to set those off to the side, and we're just going to get started into our directions. The first thing is that we're going to cut 30 inches, and this is not 30 inches, but I did cut a small sliver of that 28 gauge wire, and I'm going to go ahead and smooth it out with my nylon jaw pliers. The reason I didn't cut all of it is that we're just going to do this step by step, and I've got some step outs already finished for us as we progress with our project. All right, these are nylon jaw pliers. I'm just going to go ahead and just um, work that through the wire a couple times, get that nice and warm and ready to be stitched. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and add 8. I believe that's 8, 9. Yep, okay. To sit there and count it. 9 of those mustard colored seed beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I usually just grab a bunch in my hand and then just string away. I love using the size 8 seed beads because it is forgiving for my eyes, and that is really exactly why I like to do that. Otherwise, I am blindly beating, as you can imagine. All right. I'm going to slip this down to the middle of my wire as such, and I'm going to pick up that next set of beads. So in this case, it's going to be a couple whites. I'm going to start with the right and work my way to the left. So we're going to go 1, 2. We're going to do 2 of those dark brown amber colors. There we go. 2 of those beautiful, full, bright. It's not even really bright. It's more like a cerulean blue. I don't think I've ever seen this in seed beads before. It's quite beautiful, almost periwinkle. And then we're going to do 3 mustards. Okay, there we go. And we're going to drop those down. And what I'm going to do is circle back through those 9 original beads from before. and go right through them as such. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull this tight so that my loop is fully formed as such. And what I'm gonna do is flatten it. Okay, so it should look something like that according to the illustration. Pretty good so far. And now the idea is to pass your, I almost said thread, you guys, your wire through the entire set of beads so that it exits out there at the top. And what we're going to do is essentially continue our pattern on the one side. So I'm going to pull this all the way through. You can see that big loop there. And you'll see how easily it just strings through like a warm knife through butter. Okay, I'm going to ignore this other side for now. We're going to forget about that. And we're just going to focus on our pattern on this side. So if we're looking at it, we want to do, let's see, one. Yeah, we're going to do one. And then we're sort of decreasing and increasing the beads. So we're going to decrease on the top at the very top there, so the whites, and then increase our mustards. So we'll do one white, two dark browns or ambers. Okay, two blues. And this time we'll do four mustards. Now, again, I will say that if you don't have a pattern on hand, this can be a little tricky. So make sure you do visit that site or our website, silversilkonline.com, and check out those patterns that have been written out for you in the video tutorials tab after the show. Okay, and then the idea here is to string this all the way through those beads. There we go. Okay, go ahead and go right up. And you can see that our pattern is starting to form. And once you've kind of strung your beads all the way up through it, you're going to now circle back around so that you can get back onto that top row and continue adding even more rows of seed beads. Okay, there we go. All right, and then so you'll have something that looks like this whenever you're all said and done. And let me fix, I think I kind of went backwards on my patterns, but that's okay. You guys get the idea. The thing is, you want to add a total of 5 rows after the center. And then what you're essentially going to do is flip this whole thing around and continue adding 5 more rows to the side that you haven't yet stitched. So on this side, I will actually do a pattern, and I'm just going to sort of make this up on the spot. We're going to actually work with our 2 whites. And this could be any pattern, you guys. It can be all a solid color if that is what you wish for your slider to be. Let's see, 2 of these, maybe 2 of these, 2 of these. But hopefully this gives you the idea of using those seed beads and circling that wire through it in order to get to that next row. So here I'll just create a pattern with 9 seed beads total. Oops, I guess I didn't need that white. So we're going to take that off real quick. And these back in. 1, 2, 3. Oop, 3. Okay, where's that one? 2, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. Okay. And I'm going to go through those middle seed beads. Pull that up. and then go back through that row again and continue my pattern until I've gotten 5 more rows past the center. Okay. And once I've done that, I'm going to go ahead and fast forward to show you guys everything I've stitched up to this point. So there's the pattern in full. You can see that my center row is completely mustard, and then my pattern exists on either side, and there's a total of 5 rows of patterning. And what I did was I went ahead and passed my wire through the center seed bead row once again. So I took this wire, passed it up through that seed bead row, and then I did the same thing for that top side and passed it through. So basically, this will give us a little bit of a head start. I did some explaining and I didn't move my steps forward. So here's where we are. Just stay on that slide for a second. And we're at that point now where we can start incorporating our silver silk. So I'm just going to grab my silver silk. I'm going to go ahead and straighten that out. A little seed bead cleanup here. And I'm going to insert it through that wire, but I'm going to just kind of lay it on top of my seed beads there. And then when I go to pull this, you can see that it just pulls right over the silver silk. Pretty cool, right? I mean, how instant is that? So the idea now is to stitch back into that last row with your wire, if it'll cooperate. Now, wire has its own brain sometimes, so you really have to kind of baby it to get it to where you want it to go. There we go. And pull it again. So that last row is nice and secure. And then all I'm going to do is take that extra leftover wire and stitch it into the beadwork a couple times before I trim it off. And believe it or not, it's actually going to stay very secure because it is wire. Much like how silver silk works whenever it's knitted on top of something and you just cut it through, it's not going to unfray. Or just fray, I guess. It's not going to fray. I don't know why I said unfray. It's losing my words. Okay, let's do one row more. Oops. And this is also the point where I can just take my nylon jaw pliers and let it do its thing, right? We have our tools, people. Let's use them. Perfect. Okay, there we go. Now this is nice and secure. It's a great seed beaded tube. I'm just going to trim this right off and not bother with it. And now we have one side complete. We're going to take the other side. We're going to come around and we're going to just fold it on the opposite side here. I'm going to have it go through that loop once more. Okay, you can kind of see where my wires are. The wire is exiting this middle row, comes up. I'm sorry, it exits that last row, comes up through the middle row. That's what I meant to say. And I've got my little tail wire there. So I'm just going to fold this up and pull this so that now I've got both tubes magically attached together. And I am just going to go ahead and run this through my nylon jaw pliers and then stitch back exactly how I did before. Okay, just work with those seed beads. Sometimes you gotta kind of have to lay them out straight before you're able to pass all that wire through. But again, having that 28 gauge is pretty amazing for multiple passes through a seed bead and makes it nice and easy to go through. Okay, you can see that our design is starting to form. We've got our slider clasp in the works, and now all we have to do is just finish this out. Okay, let me do this. I think it's still stuck. Yeah, perfect. You see, taking out those kinks really makes this so much easier with those nylon jaw pliers. We'll go through one more, and then we'll just chop it off. Perfection. Ugh, this is one stellar project. I love this abstract pattern that we made. And now I can just chop that right off. Okay. Our slider bracelet is pretty much working and fully functional. Those knits prevent it from sliding too much so that whenever it's on your wrist, it's going to stay pretty nice and secure. I'm just going to even this out. And so this might be a little bit too much of how much knitted wire that you probably want on this. And so I'm going to go ahead and proceed forward as we have already completed these steps. Sometimes I forget to move the pictures along as we're really in the heart of in the middle of our demonstration. All right. So we're at the point of adjusting the size of our bracelet. Now, remember, I talked about earlier a 7-inch wrist, and which seems to be the typical size. But what you can do here is to really expand out the bracelet. Go ahead and slip it on and make sure that it's going to fit the widest part of your hand first. So for me, it's probably about right there. And you're going to take that measurement and make sure that you have at least an inch of extra wire, knitted wire. And I think I have it actually at that perfect size because whenever I go to tighten this, it's going to probably be about right here for my wrist. And I like a tighter bracelet. So I might just chop maybe a half inch off of each side. That way, I think I'll have it just perfect. So I'm just chopping off a little bit. Okay, and that terminator is going to eat up a little bit of space. So yeah, this is perfect. This is going to fit my wrist. All right, so I'm just going to expand that back out, and I'm at that point and ready to attach these little guys on. So I'm going to clean up my ends first with my chain nose pliers. Get all those little extra wire, um, those little wire pieces off. I call them wire fuzzies, but everyone's got a different term for them. They can be little wire splinters or just remnant pieces at the ends. Doesn't matter really what you call it, as long as you just kind of make sure to taper them off with your chain nose pliers. And then I just gave this a pretty good little squish with my pliers. And these wide nose pliers have that protective coating on it, which again, you can learn all about in that YouTube video for tools where I talk about what that coating is and what it does. It's pretty amazing. Okay, got a little bit of wire sticking out there, so I'm just going to chop that off. And I can go ahead and add on my terminator. And I want to make sure that the seam isn't face up because it does have a seam, as you guys can see. I want to make sure it lays flat so that it's part of my design. And I'm going to do the same thing to this side. Oops, almost picked up the wrong pliers. Perfection. All right, so now whenever I put this on, I can set it to the widest setting here, slip it on, and adjust all by myself, and I'm ready to go. But that's not all I wanted to show you. I wanted to show you guys some more design options as we're looking at this. Isn't this great? We made a wonderful little collection of all these different fantastic leather chain colors using the same seed beads and just varying up the pattern. Here's kind of the same one that I'm wearing. I'm just gonna go ahead and throw them all on because that's how excited about this project I am. And we've got this red cardinal color with just that dark amber and white stripe. Very cool, very pretty. We even use contrasting color terminators. This is the dark rhodium. Okay, so let's just, might as well slide that one on, right? So you can have just a few different seed bead tubes and make all kinds of different color combinations. This is limoncello with this sort of stripe pattern. So cool. And then we used gold terminators. Just go ahead and slide that right on too. Look at that. You can kind of have these all over the place and it would look really textural and cool. We've got the sandstone in silver findings. Again, kind of using that same pattern. And then finally, we've got this rustic color knitted leather chain with silver findings. No, wait, this is bright copper. It doesn't look bright copper on screen, but I promise it is. And then same abstract pattern, but you can kind of see how different they all look just depending on what base leather chain you're using. But same technique, and it's magic, I think. Let me flash over back to the photo and switch back my camera here. Um, but I hope you guys enjoyed the show. I think these are so easy and fun to make, and I haven't used terminators in very many projects, and so anytime that I get sort of an excuse to use them, it's always an exciting time. But if you enjoyed the content in this video and want to see even more tutorials from all of us here at SilverSilk, be sure to give this video a giant thumbs up and to tell your friends and share this video and subscribe to the channel. That lets us know that this channel is important to you guys, that we continue to maintain and produce these videos for you, come up with all sorts of fun tutorials, and I don't know, keep the magic of Silver Silk alive. But I guess that's all I've got for you today, and I will see you at the next tutorial. Again, check out the video description if you are needing the links to any of these products or just want any additional information. And with that, I guess I'll see you guys next time. Bye.